I'm Susie Roberti. Welcome, welcome. Let's talk tail waggers. We have a wonderful, wonderful show today. And I hope it enlightens some people at home and changes a few minds. It would mean an awful lot to me personally. But before we get started, I would like to say thank you to my camera person. Thank you, Pauletta. BPTV, all volunteers. And if you would like to come up and do a show, just visit and come and see what we're all about, or even come up and learn how to use a camera. It's a wonderful little corner of the world. I'm just so very excited. I have one of my dear, dear friends here with me today, and that's Susie Smith here. And she started the Pets for Vets, which is a absolutely positively miracle group. And I'm so very proud to even know her. I'm so very proud to even be a part of it. I was a very small part of raising some money. And she is a genuinely lovely person. Hi, ma'am.
I feel the same way about you. And let me just say, I'm really thankful to be on your show today and to bring my buddy Harley with me to talk about the Pets for U.S. Vets program at the Washington Area Humane Society.
Yes, and it is, tell them.
Well, we started in 2010. We had 3 dog parties. I had a sponsor that helped me with 3 dog parties, and we raised close to $30,000 with the help of Susie's show, Let's Talk Tail Waggers. We got the word out, and you actually came down and did a video of the last dog party. But we raised money 2010, 2011, and 2012. And I just found out the other day that we still have $15,000 in that account. So any U.S. veteran that wants to adopt can go to the Washington Area Humane Society, and you just have to take your DD-214 as proof that you're
a veteran.
And then you can adopt a dog or a cat 6 months of age or older at no charge. We've already paid that for you, and they're spayed, neutered, up to date on shots, socialized, defleed, and just waiting for their forever home. So if you are ready to adopt an animal and you're a U.S. veteran, please go to the Washington Area Humane Society and just tell them Susie sent you.
Yes, and it's actually, the way I feel, is taking one broken heart with another broken heart and putting those together and making one very, very happy heart. And they're just, some of the animals down there are so tragic. And now that Susie started this, so many people have come in now. So many people have come in, vets have come in and got their pet, taken them home, and now
it's changed lives.
It's changed lives.
Because a lot of the veterans, the soldiers have, so many problems when they come home from war. And nothing can help more than having your best friend beside you. So we encourage people to go to the Washington Area Humane Society. We still have money in the funds, but we also encourage people to donate to the Pets for U.S. Vets Fund at the Washington Area Humane Society.
The beauty of dogs, and there's a million things, but you can have no legs, you can have your face burn off, you can have no arms, and they love you. They don't see you as humans do, They see your heart, they feel you, they understand you, they actually become a part of you.
Oh, they do, and words don't have to be spoken.
Nope.
There's just a communication between a person and a canine that you can't get anywhere else. It's special.
It truly is. It's humbling.
It's very humbling.
I had a doctor, a chiropractor, that was on, and he was talking about adjusting the dogs and the kitty cats, and through the interview, and he looked at me and he said, "You know, Susie, this is so humbling to me to do this," and it just was just like a wind just blew over me, and I said to him, "You know, you were meant to come here today, because in all the years in my whole life, I have tried so hard to say it's a passion. It's this, it's that you feel about the dogs. But what it is, they humble you with their continuous kindness. The littlest thing that you do for them is the biggest thing, you know, and they're so reassuring. And I do know that when the vets come home, and if they do receive a dog, that they can go and sit, and that dog knows, and the gentleman or the lady, the veteran, knows that we're pals.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And to sit with your pet quietly, and it looks up at you, and you look down, and you don't have to say a word, and it's the beauty of them, and they do humble you. It just quiets you and makes you feel gentle, and they're just beautiful, beautiful creatures.
And they do so much. They lower people's blood pressure. Now they're finding that animals, dogs, can sniff out cancers, and they're so important. They were put here to
For
be
a reason.
Yeah,
For a reason.
and to be our best companions.
And then I just saw an article about little children that they are actually doing now. The dogs are trained, and they go to school with them every day. And if they have sugar diabetes, these dogs can actually smell when the child's sugar is up or going down. And they teach them that if it's going down, they put their nose on the child's knee, and the teacher is taught to know that this is happening. Or if a sugar is rising, they go and put their nose on the child's arm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they're just really opening, you know, the door, because there's so many people that feel it's just a dog, and it's not just a dog. It's a gift, and we received a very special gift. And as human beings, we have been very, very heartless, dumb, overlooking the true gift that we have been given by God with these dogs.
It is so true, because they are an extension of us.
Yes, they are.
And if you're the type of person that can say, that's just a dog, you're going to say, that's just a friendship, that's just a sunrise, that's just a promise, and nothing will mean anything.
Exactly.
If you can actually say that's just a dog.
And if it's just a dog, how can it know and be taught to go to the door for a deaf person and know if that's a friend or foe at that door? How can they know to cross a blind person? Or else bring a toothbrush, be trained to bring your toothbrush to a person that's in a wheelchair and hand it to him so that that person can brush your teeth. It's just not a dog.
Well,
these are truly a gift that has been given to us to help us as an aid. And now we really, as human beings, are starting to accept that. And
some of us are.
Yeah. Well, I think more and more each day. You know, that's why I do my shows, because I hope with each show that I do, I will catch one person.
And it'll change their mind.
Yeah, they'll be walking past, and my show will be on, and they'll hear that and sit down, and maybe they'll truly understand the love. And they are a gift to us, to help us, an aid.
They are, and they are an extension of us. When I had my inner ear problems, I was misdiagnosed with a brain tumor, but it turned out it was inner ear problems. Harley stepped up and started balancing me when I would walk, he's the tallest of all four of my dogs, and he knew that I was having issues, and he would stand beside me, and I could put my hand on him and walk, and nobody taught him that. He just knew that Mom was a little wobbly.
Well, yeah, and if people start to think of them as an extension of us and an aid to us, then they really will be understood and known how very important that they are to us. Just like little Jack. I don't know
Jack.
if anyone saw that program, that he was a little Chihuahua
From the
Humane Society.
Humane Society.
And he just walked back and forth, and we talked and talked, about Jack and about the Washington Area Humane Society. And he was just a lover. But
he couldn't be with kids.
That's what the lady said. One thing, she said, if you're going to come down and get Jack, you have to make sure that you have no children.
No children around
because
Jack.
he doesn't like children. Well, we made sure we impressed upon people that, and a lady stopped down to Humane Society with her son, and she was just visiting, to see the dogs. And Jack was in a cage on the floor, and they would leave the door open. And the little boy was autistic, and he sat down on the floor like Indian style, and was watching the dogs. And Jack came out of his cage, went over and got in that little boy's lap, and he went home with that little boy that day, and he is still with him.
And that's the little dog that didn't like children.
Children.
Yeah. Couldn't go with children.
I mean, it can just go on and on and on. The beauty of them.
It's beautiful.
And I don't think it's too much. If you praise your dog when you've lost him, and you tell stories about what he did, or how you feel, because you are losing an extension of yourself.
You are
a part of yourself, and that's what they become. And they're also there when you come home from work and you really feel stinky. And you go, oh, no, come on, Mommy doesn't, come on, get out of the way now. And oh, no.
No.
Then we have to get in the way.
Then they have to sit on your lap.
yeah. And then before you know it, you're petting and loving and happy, and whatever happened at work, oh, well, and who cares? But they are.
It takes away pain. They take away our pain.
Yes, they do. And we lost a lovely dog. His name's Rocco, which I think just about everybody has heard about. And Susie's going to read an article that was in the paper, and it really disappointed us, Susie and I.
I was very upset when I read it.
And it disappointed me that someone would sit and take the time to think this letter up.
Well, this was an editor of a local paper. It wasn't just a person saying their views. It was someone speaking for an entire newspaper.
Yes, and it just behooved me that instead of sitting as an editor and writing that it's been a really bad winter and people are hungry, and how about let's kicking off a food bank. Pick a food bank.
Something positive.
Yeah, something. But to sit, and when you hear this letter, it just really, really disappointed me that he wasted his time to
spread a negative spin on this when he could have, like you said, he
could have written nothing.
Nothing would have been better.
That's what I'm saying.
I have veterans emailing this copy of this to me, and different animal people in disbelief that someone would actually feel that way. But I could read the letter, and then we could talk about
please do.
Our point of view.
Please read her.
Well, let me put my reading glasses on so I can see the print. Now, Harley, if you could just settle down a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Please don't move around so much.
No, he's got his little blankie here, and he's just real comfy. So.
I know.
Okay. Well, this letter was in a local paper, and it was right after the funeral for Rocco, the canine. Appreciate officers behind canine cops is the title. In the last week or so, many tears have been shed around the region for Rocco. Rocco was the 8-year-old Pittsburgh police canine who was killed by an assailant whom the dog was attempting to subdue January 28th. The German Shepherd who came from the Czech Republic lingered for 2 days before succumbing to a stab wound, and in the days since there's been an outpouring of grief for the canine. While we have no doubt that much of this outpouring has been sincere, many people feel a sentimental attachment to their pets and appreciate the unstinting loyalty of their dogs. We couldn't help but feel that much of the anguish and lamentation was over the top, with the pathos descending into bathos. And
I love.
we're going to talk about that after
Susie
this.
looked it up in the dictionary.
Yeah, with the pathos descending into bathos and the outrage translating too often into showboating. Flags were flown at half-staff in Pittsburgh at the order of Mayor Bill Peduto. Donations cascaded into various funds in order to memorialize Rocco. Legislation was introduced in Harrisburg by State Representative Jesse White to increase the penalties for killing a police animal in the line of duty, and similar legislation was proposed in the state Senate by Matt Smith of Mount Lebanon. A petition turned up on the White House site urging that penalties be increased on the federal level. Brookline District Judge Jim Motznick initially set bond at $1 million for John L. Rush, the 21-year-old Stowe man accused of stabbing Rocco and injuring 3 human officers in the incident. Setting bail that high was later denounced by a common pleas court judge as magisterial grandstanding. Rocco's Friday memorial service at Soldiers and Sailor Memorial Hall and Museum in Oakland received full court press coverage from television and other media. One news story even went so far as to state that no one can replace Rocco, as if Rocco weren't just one of a stable of dogs maintained by the Pittsburgh Police Department, but a creature possessed of magical powers like Lassie or Toto. It costs somewhere in the neighborhood of $8,000 for departments to purchase a dog and somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 to train them for various tasks. That's not pocket change, but that doesn't rise to the level of irreplaceable. What also makes the effusion of grief for Rocco discomforting is how the officers who were injured in the attack have been ignored. One officer was pounded in the head several times, another was punched, and a third was himself stabbed 2 times. Where are the fundraisers for them? Who even knows their names? Carry out the most simple Google search and you can find news story after news story and web page after web page about fundraising events, dinners and benefits for police officers, sheriff's deputies, park rangers, and other law enforcers who have been severely injured in the line of duty and face not only infirmities and rehabilitation but also the loss of income for themselves and their families. This newspaper has run stories about fundraising drives like these, and they spring from the best of intentions. We only wish that such efforts were greeted with as much attention and support as that which has been afforded to Rocco, who was not a human being, who was not a friend, he was not a human being with family, friends, and a host of obligations, but a dog who was trained to carry out specific duties. So yes, mourn Rocco, but we should put more of that energy into appreciating the officers behind the dogs and lend them a helping hand when they are harmed while protecting us.
Well, it disappointed me.
Well, I took offense just at the fact that the person, he or she, spent so much time writing this letter of negativity, and the one.
But first, starting out very nicely,
very nice,
and then we're just going to work in, so then that we can just, get our jab, get our jab, get our jab.
But talking about showboating, when you use a phrase like pathos descending into bathos, what that means is it started out as sympathetic and good and appropriate. And this editor is saying that it turned into silliness and it was ludicrous, because I looked it up to make sure that I knew what it meant, that it was silly and really didn't mean anything.
And I don't believe that the police officers that were injured and we love them dearly,
No, of course.
really aren't being taken care of, aren't, there's concern about them. But I bet you, if you could talk to them, would say, we would rather have this happen for Rocco. And not just for Rocco, but for his family, his master, the little girls, and they just step back out of the limelight. Nobody has said one thing mean, neglectful to the police officers. They truly haven't. This was just a gathering, a big gathering of people to say thank you. And thank you to the police officer that has trained him, rides with him each day, and has a secret bond between the two of them, what you eventually do with your pet.
And what you mentioned to me the other day was, remember what you said about the weather and how cold it was, and what it did for our community?
Yeah, and the one thing that I saw on TV was all the police lined up. Oh, there had to be 75 or 100 on one side, and the same amount on the other side. And they all stood at attention with their best friend by their side as the family walked by. And it was to honor that family and to say, we're hurting because we love our pets. We're hurting for you. That was the outcry for Rocco. It wasn't being ridiculous over a dog. It was an outcry from all of us pet lovers that have lost our best friend. And we wanted this family to know that we love you, we appreciate you, we appreciate the job that your husband and his best friend has done, and how sad, because they're going to go home after all this is over with. They're going to go and open up the front door, and nobody's going to be there. Rocco won't be there, and he has become such a big part of their life with their little girls, and
to diminish that, it just seems so wrong for anybody to say anything negative about it, because what struck home for me was what you said the other day about in the middle of February. It's cold. I had to come out of hibernation. I'm dressed like a lumberjack today. It's just so cold outside. We've all been in. 1,200 people showed up in the middle of winter, and you brought that to my attention about how this brought the community together. We were able to see love.
It was nice. It was good.
It was good.
Even if it was about a doggie.
That was tragic.
Yes, but it brought people together to care, to hug.
There was so much love at this funeral. And why would anybody say anything about that?
Yeah. Why wouldn't they say what a wonderful thing Rocco gave, to his master and to the family by all these people coming and saying, we're sorry. Is there anything that we can do for you? This, when I was a little girl, I was born and raised in Bethel, and if someone died, my mother cooked the lady across the street because it was a very small community.
You always made food.
And the cars would pull up when my dad died, pulled up in the food. They came and ran the vacuum sweeper. They cleaned my mother's house while she was over at the funeral home. And we came home and all this food was there and everything. And it was like, wow. But if you would do that today, walk up and knock on a door and say, oh, I heard you lost, your father or your sister, whatever, they'd think you're crazy.
To take food.
But see, this is how far we keep going away from each other. So if a dog could bring that many people together in love and caring and sharing, and those two little girls will never ever forget all the people that came to say goodbye to their puppy. Can you imagine? There isn't one bad, sad ridiculous, whatever words. I don't have a dictionary, so I can't come up with the great big words.
Bathos.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Now, before we run out of time,
Okay.
we have another letter to read, which is very important.
This is from a policeman that Susie and I both know. He works here at Bethel Park TV, and he said I could use his name. He actually emailed me a letter this morning that he wanted
Us to read.
us to read, because this is the policeman's point of view, and you'll see that it was much more than about Rocco. But Andy said to me, Susie, as we discussed the other day about Rocco, there are several points that I would offer my personal opinion on. First, in the eyes of most officers and the law, the canine working dog is more than just a pet, afforded many of the same privileges that other officers are. The canine wears a badge, spends substantial amounts of time training and preparing to serve the citizens of their community. To offer the funeral and the honors given by other officers and departments is to show due respect for that canine. In this case, Rocco had served admirably for many years and earned his place among the others who gave their lives in service to others. Secondly, as the point that many say the dog is just following training and didn't choose to place himself in the danger that he did. Oh, it's time for a cookie. Excuse me, Harley. Okay. Anyone, including you or I, who has ever owned a dog or trained a dog knows wholeheartedly that the canine is following his training, but he also makes a choice to continue the fight, to place himself in the line of danger, to protect his partner and the other officers with him. The dog is clearly the one that decided to continue the path he had taken, and despite the danger and the injuries incurred, the canine willingly saved the others by sacrificing himself. Third, the funeral was not just for Rocco. As an attendee of the services, I would be the first one to say that this affair was for the handler, his family, other officers, and those who Rocco saved over the years. The funeral is for the living as much as it was for the fallen. As for all the coverage and media on this event, I would simply offer that the vast majority of officers in attendance were probably there just like I was on their own time. We do this out of honor and respect for the work Rocco has done. In closing, I would offer that to me, even though I know that the canine is viewed as equipment or a tool by many people, any animal lover would argue otherwise. Many canine handlers choose to keep their dogs with their own family long after they have passed. I am glad that I was able to provide my support and attend the services for Phil and Rocco. And this is from Officer Andy Volchko, Western Pennsylvania Police Benevolent Foundation.
Well, that is how we're going to end the show.
I think Harley has a word to say.
Yeah, and Harley's going to talk to. Like always, don't forget your humane societies. They need towels and sheets and money if you can, but the towels and the sheets are needed for surgery and puppies and for them to lay on. Thank you, Susie.
Thanks for having me on, and thanks for having Harley on.
Harley on. And I love you. And thanks from all the tail waggers.